Hey music lovers, Cat with Hats here in Canada. I'm about to visit one of the best drum instructors worldwide. He and his team, as well as up to 80 of this planet's best drummers and drum instructors, teach about 150,000 students, and they do so through a sophisticated online drum lessons program. I'm talking about Jared Falk and Drumeo. Last March I already put up a post on my blog which you can check out. You can also check out the Drumeo website. Do both. But if you like to know more about the founder and how he turned a crazy idea into a world-renowned educational website, stay on and keep watching.
My name is Jared Falk and I am 34. I started when I was 15 playing drums, and I am now 34, so that would be 15 plus 4, 19 years. So next year is my 20th anniversary. I'm going to have a party, yes, it's a good reason. I started teaching when, a year after I started playing drums, and I just had a few students at the time, a few young students. So I think I was in the 10th or 11th grade, and my students were in the 6th grade and 7th grade. So they were younger and they were just brand new drummers. But I loved it, and I think I got lucky. I had some really, really good students that practiced a lot, and so they made me look like a really good teacher. At least that's what I'm going to go with. That was very helpful in kind of giving me motivation to teach more and make it a part of like what I do. I was in choir class, and I went to like a very traditional conservative school, so we had to take choir. And but I had a great teacher, and the teacher was named Mr. Nickel, Larry Nickel. And one of the things he always was a big fan of is exposing us and making us listen to different styles of music. And so before we started every class, he put on music and he cranked it so loud. And I just remember how loud it was, but the system in the classroom sounded so good, so it wasn't obnoxiously loud. And I remember looking over and seeing this one kid, and he was just air drumming. And he was hitting all the shots. I forget the song, but he was hitting all the shots. And I looked over and I'm like, that looks like so much fun. And so I went home and I told my parents, I want to play drums. And my parents have always been like incredibly supportive with anything I wanted to do. And so they had a drum set in storage that my grandparents bought for my dad and my aunt in the early 70s. And that's now actually on display here in the other room at Drumeo. And so that was kind of how it all began. And you know, as soon as I got that kit, as soon as I sat down and started playing, I was hooked. And I think that's like every drummer has that moment when they know that they were hooked, and that's when you become a drummer. So after I went on tour for 4 months, I came home and I realized the touring life is not for me. I love being close to family, and I love the city that I live in, and so I just want to stay home. And I feel like getting roots here was very, very important to me. I see other people who are complete opposite, love being on the road, don't care to have somewhere to hang their hat, and they're fine just like traveling and living in a different hotel room every night. But for me, that wasn't the case. So I came back off of tour, I started teaching, and I met, I had this one drum student named Rick Kettner, and he was big into putting videos online. And so he had uploaded some videos of teaching foot technique, and it got tons of downloads, like 12,000 downloads. And so then we decided to partner up and film videos. And this was back in 2002, 2003. And from there, we started selling downloadable videos, and then it went to DVDs, and it was never really we never really had this grand vision of this specifically. I mean, we knew that we wanted to create something that's going to have a long-term impact and that's really going to help people. And it's something we are passionate about because we love music and we love playing drums. But to say, oh, I planned exactly what we're doing now, way back then, there's no way. I love what it's become, and I'm really excited to see, like, 5 years from now, where is it going to be? Because I've planned for that, you know, in my head, but it's going to be funny to see how different it is, you know, when we get to that point. Like every good business, I think, should have a very clear vision, a very clear mission, right? Mission is like why we exist. You know, why does Drumeo even exist? And we have that, and that really defines our North Star. That defines where we want to go. And so for us, when I talk about vision, I don't necessarily think about the nuts and bolts of it, like, oh, we want to have 150 instructors and 20,000 students and all this. I don't really think like that, but I think in terms of like what sort of impact do we want to make. And so we really want to reach every single drummer in the world. Whether that be you have the monetary standpoint where they're paying for lessons, or it just be something that a service we can provide for free somehow. Because there's so many people who want to play drums and just can't. There's no teachers, they have no equipment, and they have no access to really high quality education. And so I want to try and educate every drummer in some form or another in the entire world. And so that's our mission, that's where we're going. And 5 years from now, I hope to say that's still our mission. And Drumeo will look different, the nuts and bolts will look different, but that will stay the same. I haven't been able to appear in as many videos in the last little while. Part of that is because personally, I'm kind of still growing as a drummer and as a musician. And I kind of got to the point where I'd done 400 or 500 videos. And I felt like every lesson after that, I was really grasping for topics. And I'm like, well, what should I teach? And I ended up started making things up just so I could teach them. And it's like, that's not really the way I want to do it. I had good discussions with Greb about this, who's like, I think he's like a thought leader in the drum industry. He's a good friend of mine, and I love the guy. And so having some conversations with him and other artists, you know, it made me realize that if I want to continue teaching, I also need to progress and continue studying. So that's kind of where I'm at now, is I'm still studying, I'm still practicing, and I want to bring something new and something that's something that's verified by me as usable and relevant in today's music industry. I don't want to create a lesson just because I need a lesson to put on YouTube, which is a lot of what's happening now. You know, these young drummers and older drummers are practicing things that no one's ever used that in music, and because it doesn't really work in music, right? So I will continue teaching. I still do some, but I think I want to wait a little while and then eventually come out with something that I've really thought about and that really brings a lot of value to all the students. And I do teach privately, so if anyone wants to book a private lesson, you can always email me, jared@drumeo.com. Very easy to get a hold of, and I have the odd student come to Drumeo and we do the odd lesson. I don't teach every single week privately, but if you contact me for a lesson, we can do one lesson and then, you know, reconvene in a couple months or something. Actually, we've had some unreal drummers come to Drumeo. It's going to keep on going. Like what we have planned for this year and even next, we're booking into 2017 now. And we have some amazing drummers already booked for then. I think the third or fourth guest we had was a guy named Sonny Emory, played with Bruce Hornsby and Bette Midler and many other amazing artists. And his lesson was called Linear Concepts and Flammer Sizes. And I still practice the stuff from that lesson. Like Sonny is incredible. I still practice stuff from, you know, lessons from Greb, Anika with her, you know, quintuplets and all that. I'm in a very good position as I get to take lessons with the best drummers ever, and I get to meet them and hang out with them. So yeah, it's definitely something that I spend time on when I'm practicing. The most view, I think it's YouTube, and our website is a little bit different, but I think on YouTube we have some shorter lessons that are like 2 million. So one just like a starter lesson for new drummers that I put out on how to play drums. That lesson does well. When it comes to the special guest lessons, Greb's lesson does well. We have a lesson from Thomas Pridgen that does really well. Anika's lesson is doing really well in such a short amount of time. I have some lessons, some like longer form lessons that are doing really well. I don't know which is the most viewed one though. I think my job is to kind of lead the team, determine strategy, determine vision, and what we're going to do on a day-to-day basis. Then I have people like my brother, Jamie. He's project manager, and he does a lot of the like graphics and motion stuff that you see in the lessons. And then I have a couple video editors, Taylor and Kyle, and we have a development team, Curtis and Trent and John and Caleb. Then we have a social media manager named Justin. We have a content manager named Yanato. We have a community manager named Dave. And we have Katrina and Megan in support. Brandon helps out. So a lot of people think, oh, it's Jared just doing this Drumeo thing. It's so not me. The business is built off of people. So my vision for Drumeo is not that it requires my involvement, although I really want to be involved and I have no plans on going anywhere. But my vision is if something were to happen to me, this team understands the vision, they understand our values, and they understand where we're going. And I'm fully confident that they could get there even without my involvement. I don't sound very important there. That's usually done between me and Dave. Dave has been doing more of that. Dave is a Drumeo community manager. He kind of works behind the scenes of Drumeo, and I get a lot of the credit where Dave does a ton of work around that, and I'm so grateful to have kind of like a partner in the development of our lessons and how we teach our students. And so it's kind of split right now. Like I'll find an artist online and I'll contact them and book them, or an artist will contact us and say, hey, I'd like to come out. And it works one of those two ways. And I guess another way it works is sometimes drum companies will want a certain artist to come out, and so they'll recommend them to us, which we really appreciate, just because usually those lessons turn out really well, and they're easier to do because you have the drum company's involvement, you have the artist involvement, and you have Drumeo, and so that's nice to kind of get to work with that full group of people. It was incredibly hard in the beginning. And you know what? I credit Sean Brown from Yamaha Drums Canada. Now he's head of international marketing and product development, I think. I don't know his specific title, but Yamaha has been incredibly good to us, and they were the ones, they first brought us Larnell Lewis, who now plays for Snarky Puppy. At that time, he didn't, right? They kind of brought him up before Larnell got big, and I remember being in my van with Larnell and saying, you're going to be big, and please remember us when you get there. And obviously, if you know Larnell, he remembers everyone. He's the nicest guy ever. But Sean from Yamaha, and Yamaha in general has just been very, very supportive. We don't endorse any company, but we like to work with every company. And some companies are really easy to work with, and Yamaha is one of those guys. And so they brought us Larnell and Sonny. And from there, it became easier and easier. Yeah, it's not super hard now to get some artists. It's still difficult to explain what we do and how it all works. But yeah, it's not like it used to be. Yeah. For special guest artists that come out, if they're coming out for a couple days to film some videos, I always say, teach what you feel that you're best at. Just like if you had one chance to impress someone, what are you going to say to them to impress that person? What are you going to play or whatever? And so I always tell the artists, whatever you think you're most comfortable teaching and whatever you've had the most success with in the past, that's what you should teach. In the past, we've tried to do things where we say, oh, we have a lesson on that, you should teach this. It never works as good because they're not comfortable teaching that. And so, yeah, I call them confidence patterns when it comes to playing, and I guess I would call it confidence teaching when it comes to teaching. So everyone has their things that they're best at, their strength, and we like to focus on that. I think that has changed throughout the years as when it comes to like the most important lesson. Now I look at, I used to look at things like technique, like I need to develop facility. And now that I've developed some facility and I know I can move around the kit like I want to, at the speed I want, whether it be fast or slow. Now it's more about developing musicality and finding my own sound. Like what is my drumming personality? You know, what is the vocabulary that I like to use a lot? And for me, that's the type of things I'm studying is vocabulary, musicality, and then a little bit of independence. Yeah, I think that's the mission, what we want to achieve, right? And my thing is not that Drumeo is around for 5 years and then I cash in and I retire. That used to be, when I was 25, I said I want to retire by the time I'm 30. And then I hit 30 and I couldn't retire, but everything was fine, right? I could work a lot less. But really, I want Drumeo to be around even when I'm gone. So when my kids are my age and my kids are even older, I want them to still see it as something that, you know, their dad did and a mark that I left. Like I want to leave, there's a saying that by a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk, a marketer that I follow, and it's legacy before currency. And that sounds a little bit pompous. I'm not saying I want to be have all this legacy, but I do want to leave my mark. I do want to, when I'm gone, I want Drumeo to still be around. I want it to still be changing lives because that's what it's doing now. And I think if 5 or 10 years from now it was gone, it would be a huge shame. And so hopefully it's still around, and that's why I'm still working hard. Yeah. Carter Beaufort. So, Carter Beaufort, if you're listening, please come to Drumeo. Please. Let's just talk about it. Email me, jared@drumeo.com, or get someone to send me your email. I would just love to have him here. He's always been my favorite drummer ever since I heard Drive In, Drive Out from the album Crash. And so he's just incredible, and yeah, I would love to have him on. Nice.
So that's all from Abbotsford in Canada. If you get interested in Drumeo, just register, check it out. If it's not for you, then I hear you get your money back, but probably you don't have to worry about it. And there's more videos from me. If you like this one, just watch the others too and show me if you like them. I'd appreciate that. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Bye.